That legacy is a big part. Adam Simpson, one of 3 premiership coaches in West Coast's history. So we'll break this down into its pieces. So the decision, Robbo. About 4 o'clock yesterday, Adam Simpson asked Don Pyke directly, am I part of the long-term future? And that set off the chain reaction. The club knew that that wasn't going to be the case, where they were prepared to go with him last year. Simpson didn't want to be exposed to that same agonising level of scrutiny through the last 2 months of the season again. He asked for an answer and he got it.
Well, everyone thinks, as Simpson said, it's going to be a shock to anybody. But he also spoke that they've been having discussions. And he asked this guy who's really close with that, Don Pyke, Don, am I there or not? It's incumbent on Don Pyke to tell him the truth. And he told him the truth. No, you're not. OK, let's wind it up. Yeah, OK. So that's what happened. As I said, it was a bloodless end to a relationship, by and large, has been a really, really successful relationship until a lot of things conspired against Adam Simpson in the last two or 3 years. But what shone through today, and I'm not talking about his legacy, I'm just talking about the person. And what happens, we all see the people in their great light and we think, oh, he's a nice fella. And we also, or a nice lady. And you see people in their worst moments of their life. I thought Adam Simpson today, in what was a very sad day for him and his family, I could tell why he's such a likeable and respected figure. I don't know if you felt that, mate. Like, he's funny, he's calm, he's witty. You know, he's like your cool mate. That's how I've always felt Adam Simpson was, and I just thought he was really upstanding on a fateful day for him today.
So the decision that remains to be made is whether he'll coach on Sunday against the Brisbane Lions and take one final bow with this team.
With that in mind, we've requested that Adam to consider coaching the side for one final time this weekend. So, as much as today is the announcement of the finish, we'd love Adam to coach one more time come the weekend.
Yeah, we haven't made that call just yet, Pikey, if I was going to coach this week, but
we'd like you to.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
It deserved suspense, didn't it?
Yeah. It was a long pause, right?
Damien Hardwick didn't do it. Nathan Buckley, Leon Cameron did do it. This is a moment. So the West Coast faithful broadly have stayed pretty true to Simpson, although recognising that there would be a need for change. There's obviously the talkback element of that is the hardest edge of it, but I think it would be a great reception for him on the day. Sunday's a long way away, though. I remember Peter Schwab saying he initially agreed to continue coaching Hawthorn, and then he caught himself watching the cartoons on the morning of a game and thought, oh, no, I've checked out.
I don't know if our opinion counts for anything, but I wouldn't do it. He said it's over. I'm done. The time is right. Buck's got it because it was like a farewell game for everything for Nathan Buckley. His playing career and his coaching career. He's one of the all-timers at Collingwood, and it just felt the right thing to do. With this, Simo's a pretty matter-of-fact sort of character. We've interviewed him many times on 360. He's been fantastic with us, with his honesty. He might make me look like a fool here, but I just think he knows it's done, and I don't know what one more game will do. He wouldn't do it just for himself.
No, this is one of those moments, it's actually about the fan base. It's about 11 years of service that delivered a premiership. It's about letting everybody say thank you, and it's hard to navigate. So I remember it felt torturous for Neil Danaher, Terry Wallace. This is very imprecise when you do or you don't, and it's really what's in their own heart. In whatever form it takes, I hope there is a forum for the Eagles fans to thank him.
I tell you what, it wasn't. Pyke's got a lot of respect for what he's done in football and what he's doing, but you can't go into a press conference the night after you sack the coach and then put it on him, or not put it on him, they've spoken about coaching, but then bring it up publicly without having an answer. And somebody said, hey, mate, we haven't decided on that yet. And then when he was even prompted, he goes, no, let's just deal with the day. What's your gut feel, yes or no?
Watching him today was no. The romantic in me hopes yes. But watching it today, I felt no. You?
No, I think no.
Okay.
I think
So
no.
Just the inevitability around it. So that he noted there was relief in the sadness. So this obviously dates back, doesn't it? In August last year, it was broadly expected. Conventional wisdom was that he would get sacked. West Coast shocked everyone by going their own way. It becomes a stay of execution. I totally understand why it happened. Is the coach is there, he's in place. This was never going to be the year that it turned, so somebody had to absorb all the punches for that. I don't feel like there was any real prospect that Simpson was going to be able to win the job again long term, and change has been a long time.
For a smattering for a couple of weeks there, I thought that the wheel had turned.
Okay.
I don't know about you. During the year, we thought, that was a good win. Geez, they're performing really well. A couple of good games at Marvel Stadium. I thought, the wheels turned, but in the second half of the year, injuries and the form just tapered off. I can't remember a time, Gerard, where from the outside, the entire football community, and not just media, I mean everyone, the fans, I can't think of anyone who said, I think he's safe. And no one said that for many, many weeks.
And that's because the times have been so grim, haven't they? A 70-game stretch where it's 10 and 60. There's this incredible flex point in West Coast history. It'll remain one of the unanswerables of football. It's round 13, 2021. West Coast play a Sunday night game against the reigning premiers, Richmond. It's during COVID. It's a big game in a pumping atmosphere. West Coast win it, and they're 8-5. They're in the 8, and they go to the bye, and they disappear without a trace. They go 10 and 60 over their next 70 games. And it's an unnatural stretch because in that period of time, somewhere around June of that year, there's a contract extension that's signed which takes Simpson to the end of 2025, before there's even a hint that they've gone over the cliff. And then it suddenly happens, and they're all shackled to each other for far too long. So Simpson is shackled to the job longer than the stepping off point. There's a graceful stepping off point for a premiership coach where he would have been the hottest coaching property in the game for jobs that opened up at Collingwood or Richmond or whatever that sequence is. And then West Coast are shackled to him for too long. There's not only a debt of gratitude and loyalty, but there's a financial debt. There's a lot of that owes to what happens to the money during COVID. So it was, in a way, it sort of contains the back pay for the job that's already done. How they disappear without a trace from that moment. They were in the 8. I'll never forget watching that game. And they were never seen again.
I wonder if they've got any inkling of what happened. How did it coincide with his contract renewal?
Probably not.
Because it was
all done really quietly somewhere in there, but it certainly wasn't on the public record.
But to have a complete team fall away, you suspect there's something's happened to the psyche of the team, of the group. You can have players running out of form, but to have a whole team, not just fall out of form, fall and plummet. And then not just plummet, stay plummeted. 60 losses and 10 wins. It's been a miracle. It's been a miracle he survived so long. I can't think of anyone. I mean, I'll go back to the history books. I'm an idiot, you look at university and these teams who didn't win for 3 years, and you think, I wonder who coached these teams. How can they possibly survive? 10 wins and 60 losses.
Yeah.
Simo has survived.
So if you break his career up into 2 portions, pre-COVID he coaches at 65% win rate, and post-COVID it's 30%, and then it dips to 14% in his back stretch.
Do you remember that's stark? Remember the COVID period?
Yeah.
They cracked the sads.
Yeah, so Simpson addressed that today. He said it affected them.
Yeah.
It took them longer than other clubs to come out of it. And you just take that at face value. You can debate it all you like, but that's their reality. Whether it should or it shouldn't, that's the truth of it.
But they were swirling in it, rather than, you say, talking about long time come out of it. My memory, of all the teams and clubs, they were the ones struggling at most.
Yes, but they still went 12-5 in the COVID year, and then they lost their elimination final by a point.
But
and then in the second COVID year, they're in the 8s at the end of round 13. His legacy. So the premiership was magnificently won. He comes to the job in 2014. He takes them to a grand final in 2015. And then 2018, when you look back at this with hindsight and you see Nat Nui is not there, Gaff is not there. Shepherd is not there. They got hit by
All Australian
at the end and still went through and won it. They play 6 final series in a row. He's got a 7-5 record during that stretch. My personal view is he's an outstanding coach.
Yeah, I know. I don't think many people will disagree with you. You forgot to mention one thing. They beat an MCG Tenant team in 2018. You could possibly argue this is one of the great non-Victorian grand finals from where they did it. It's really interesting. There's been a lot of discussion about whether he's a teaching coach or a development coach. You cannot be a premiership coach or a grand final coach without being a very good teaching coach.
65%, 6 years in a row in finals, 7-5 record, 2 grand finals a flag.
To get to a grand final and a premiership, you've got to be able to turn average players into good players and good players into great players. Okay? And you need strong conviction in your belief in football. You've got to be able to teach it. You've got to make sure that they understand what you're saying. And he did all that. He did all that. It's terrible when coaches go, Gerard, because I feel like I'm talking about a death in the football family. I do. You know, and I'm sitting there listening to it and I agree with everything you're saying about him. And I'm thinking, God, we always talk so wonderfully well after people get sacked. But it's got to be, this stuff's got to be acknowledged all the way through. And I think we do it with our premiership coaches. He was a great coach.
I think he will be again.
And it just hit the wall for some inexplicable reason.
And he plays a role in that. But
so do the Eagles, mate.
Yeah.
No, the Eagles recruiting and is that our next part?
No, yeah.
I might jump on the gun, am I, again?
I just think, so I had a view of him as in his latter playing days as he prepared himself for coaching. It was the first time that I'd seen a player do that. Then through his early days as an assistant coach, and just knew that he would get the first job that he interviewed for. And he did. And I knew that he would be successful, having seen stuff behind the scenes.
The Hawks boys spoke of him so highly.
That's right.
When he was at Hawthorn.
Any coaching vacancy over the next 2 years, Adam Simpson, Nathan Buckley are the first 2 names on the list. And then if you can beat them to the job, good luck.
Good luck.
Now, for West Coast, there is a big figure that looms here, isn't there? Hall of Famer, favourite son, admired coach doing his work in Sydney, and that's Dean Cox. So every conversation, these Knights never nail the next coach. So that's the one rider I'll put on it. But over in West Coast, there is a fervour towards Dean Cox.
Yes, there is.
And the fact that Don Pike has sat on a coaching staff with him, so Don will know everything he needs to know as a starting point to bring him in and then have the interview process from there. Who knows what his private view...
Yeah, exactly.
Of
We'll find out what Don Pike thinks of Dean Cox. He gets the job, he'll say, I always knew he was going to be a senior coach. If Dean Cox doesn't get the job, people say, what do you know of Dean Cox that you're not really happy about? Now, the other names, they're all just mentions. And you're right, Gerard. We have sat here and we've heard everyone and we've done it. We've listed all these people. Of the 3 untried assistant coach, it seems at the moment that it's Cox, Graham and Hansen, and others will be putting in for it because Gene Siracusa wants to coach and they'll put their hands up for it. And they'll have a very, very big list to choose from. And the huge name we've already mentioned is Nathan Buckley. Now, Nathan Buckley will be linked to every single coaching job until Nathan Buckley takes a job. Now, I don't know how old Bucks' kids are, the boys, but I can't see Bucks moving to Western Australia if the boys are, I think they're late teens or whatever, 16, 17. I can't see that. I think Tasmania still looms as the ideal place for Bucks, which is, 3 years away. The boys might be, young men by then and going off in their own lives. I'm sorry if I'm talking for Nathan, but I'm just trying to look at reasons. But Bucks will loom large in that coaching hunt.
Yep.